Okay, I'm just starting off to recap the Louisiana Tech game. That was another great team win. Thought we had an excellent homecoming crowd and fan support, so always appreciative of the people that come out and give us an incredible home field advantage. Thought we performed well and took positive steps forward in all three phases of the game. We won the explosive play battle and the turnover margin, the two most critical factors in determining the outcome of games. Thought we also did a great job with situational football. 1 third down, 1 red zone, and for the first time in a while won the drive start battle by 5 yards, which was great. Excited with our progress, particularly the past 2 games. Happy to be playing our best football and showing steady improvement in November. I think that's a sign of a team heading in the right direction. Certainly bowl eligible for the 9th straight season, which is a school record. To extend the season, have an opportunity to play another game, develop our young guys during that stretch of practices leading up to the bowl, and to be one of 13 new Power 5 head coaching hires, and to be one of 3 with 6 wins at this point, I think is speaks volumes for our program as well and where we're headed. So I'm certainly excited for that as well. Kind of some players of the game and miscellaneous notes. On offense, our staff player of the game was Nick Fitzgerald. On defense, the co-players of the week were Montez Sweat and Mark McLaurin. And on special teams, the co-players of the week were Tim Washington and Dedrick Thomas. Our scout team players of the week for the offense were running back Robert Rivers, Zay Furge for the defense, and then Christian Roberson for special teams. And those guys played obviously an instrumental role, don't get a lot of fanfare, but replicating the opposing team's looks and giving us an excellent representation of the speed of the game. Those guys are very, very critical to our success. Student athletes of the week were Kendall Jones and Austin Williams. Injuries, offensively, Colin Hill, we're feeling real good about. He's day-to-day with a lower body, and Osiris Mitchell is day-to-day with an upper body. Defensively, Shamar Kilby-Lane, day-to-day with a lower body, and Jaquarius Landrews, day-to-day with a lower body. Okay, moving ahead to Alabama. Obviously, a lot of this goes without saying, but we'll go through the process anyway. Head coach is Nick Saban, 141-20 in his 12th season as a head coach, and I don't think there's enough time in the press conference or ink in the printer to go through all of his superlatives. Obviously, the best head coach in college football right now, and arguably one of the best of all time. And he's won 6 national championships, and Alabama clinched the SEC West with their win over LSU last week. Offensively, the coordinator is Mike Loxley, Baltimore native. Know Mike, he's doing a phenomenal job. Balanced offense that incorporates the RPO and the West Coast passing attack, averaging 51 points a game, and once again showing a lot of balance, 224 on the ground and 341 in the air. They're top players, and I can essentially go through the entire 2 deep. I don't want to insult anybody, so we had to pick some guys out. But obviously, Tua is having a Heisman caliber season. 2,361 yards passing, 27 touchdowns, accurate, elusive, can beat you with his arms and beat you with his legs. Najee Harris and Damian Harris, 594 and 554, both powerful and explosive. And then Jerry Jeudy and Henry Ruggs. 880 yards, 10 touchdowns, and Henry Ruggs has 8 touchdowns, both incredibly explosive, very fast, excellent route runners. Coach Gaddis, who I work with at Penn State, is their receivers coach. He's doing an awesome job developing those guys, can make and miss, and definitely a threat. Defensively, Tosh Lupai is their defensive coordinator. A 3 and 4 down mix, 2 high, 1 high zones. They bring pressure. Not a ton, but when you have the front 4, front 6 that they have, you really don't need to bring extra people to generate pressure, but when they do, it's very impressive. They're ranked 3rd in the country in red zone defense, 4th in sacks a game, and 11 in total defense. I believe they're giving up, they're right behind us in rankings. I think they're giving up right around 14 or 15 points a game. The top D lineman, 92, Quinton Williams, 43 tackles, 12 for loss, 4 sacks. People have him earmarked as a top 5 draft pick. Linebacker number 32, Dylan Moses, 48 tackles, 8 for loss, 2.5 sacks. A 2017 All-SEC freshman, and defensive back Savion Smith, who's just I'm an incredible ball player. 27 tackles, 3 interceptions, 3 pass breakups. In the entire secondary. And really, we can go here and talk through every single player on the defense and find similar things to say. On special teams, Jeff Banks in his first year, he's previously Texas A&M, extremely well coached. Punt return averaging 14 yards per return, 25 on kickoff return, and they have 7 tackles inside the 20 on kickoff coverage. Jalen Waddle's their punt return guy. Josh Jacobs, their kickoff return guy. And then they got a couple guys who fly down on kickoff coverage, DJ Lewis and Jalen Moody. So, that is another, strength of their game as a special teams. In closing, certainly excited for the opportunity to play the reigning national champions. We have the utmost respect for Coach Saban, his program, and their players. We talk all the time here in our building with our kids about the term championship standard, and quite frankly, this is what we're chasing. Alabama is the gold standard in this league. And I told the team last night, no one falls to the top of the mountain. These guys have worked their tails off, and they've earned the right to be there. It's our job to go up there and try to knock them off. And it's always our focus this week will be competing against our standard, not our opponent. And just because, it's Alabama, just like last week was Louisiana Tech and all the opponents before that, we're not just going to say, hey, we really need to crank it up this week because it's Alabama. But we got to have a heightened awareness heading into the game that the margin of error is almost negligible. We're going to need great energy, great urgency, and great precision. We're going to need to have a great week of practice in order to earn a right to take the field with confidence and play 60 minutes of football with phenomenal effort and tremendous execution to give ourselves a chance to pull the game off. And I know our kids are excited. I know we're excited. And this is part of the reason why I came here. And I know certainly this is part of the reason why our kids chose Mississippi State to compete in the most competitive division in all college football and have a chance to play against a team of Alabama's caliber. So with that, any questions?
Questions? We'll get a mic to you, Steve. Coach, Nick Fitzgerald's posture in the pocket as well as the ball placement on deeper throws has been markedly better. What do you attribute those advancements to?
I think, a few things. I think we've, talked to him about reacting and not thinking on game day. Want him to have paralysis by analysis, so we kind of talked to him about, you've done the week during the week, be confident in what you do, take your drops, make your reads, and see what you see and throw the ball. I think I don't want to say simplified some things, but tried to, everything during the week, make sure we're putting our kids in position to be successful with the schemes. It's not what we know, it's what they can execute. And I think the line's done a good job protecting. The receivers have gotten open, and all that's kind of come together nicely the past 2 weeks.
How far, I guess, how many plays do you go when you script the open? How many plays do you have in mind when you script the
opening sequence of a game?
Yeah.
It varies by week, and I'd say historically it's anywhere from 16 to 24, depending on the week and depending on what the defense does.
But what do you try to accomplish with that script?
I don't want to give the state secrets out now. No, but what we try to do is, show the formations that we have, and really want to see how people are defending us more than anything. So making sure we're getting through our formations, have some plays that give us an opportunity to be successful and move the ball. And then once you see how teams are playing you, the possibility of generating some explosive plays based on those looks. And I think that's what, most people kind of do the same thing.
In these games where you're an underdog, it's often the case that they'll try to take a shot early in the game. And I think you mentioned it with FCS teams coming here, that you need to kill hope for them, and I think you're kind of in the opposite situation here. Are you more aggressive early in games like this? Do you go out of your way to take some shots?
I don't think necessarily early, but you want to make sure that you're able to generate explosive plays. And yards are hard to come by against this defense, whether it's on the ground or in the air. And I don't think that you're going to be able to string together multiple 12 and 13 and 15 play drives and kind of make your way down the field. At a certain point, you're going to have to take a chance, whether it's by a shot down the field or a trick play or something that's going to generate a chunk of yards as opposed to small increments. So that's certainly there hasn't been a ton of success against them offensively throughout the season when you look at all the games. But the teams have moved the ball pretty well, been able to take advantage of some plays down the field.
Coach, Alabama's won 10 in a row in the series. How do you kind of coach your kids up to think, this could be the year that we reverse the trend?
We really don't look at the game in the historical context, whether it be last year or 5 years or 10 years. We want to concentrate on things we need to do this year. And, we discussed that in our team meeting yesterday that, we're going to have a great week of practice and you have a lot of urgency, have a lot of great body language. The scout team's going to have to do a good job because no matter, how hard they go, it's going to be almost impossible to replicate, the speed of the game and the physicality that Auburn presents in all three phases. And, most importantly, knowing that the margin of error against a team this caliber, like I said, is negligible. That, you don't have to play a perfect game. You got to be darn near close. You got to be in that range because they're not going to beat themselves, and they're very well coached. They've got a ton of talent, and you got to find ways to make plays.
You talk about competing against your own standard all the time, but how much do you think that this week might be different? It's kind of hard to avoid the elephant in the room, no pun intended. Do you think that the guys will?
That's good.
Do you think the guys will have sort of a different feeling through practice this week?
I don't think that's. You'd be remiss not to look at it that way. And I guess my point is, we're not changing our approach, but there will be a heightened sense of awareness. So, certainly they know that, to be able to compete and have an opportunity to beat a team of this caliber, that a substandard week of practice is not going to get it done. So once again, the methodology and approach is not going to change, but certainly the manner in which we game plan, the manner in which we practice, and then how we play with our effort and precision on Sunday has got to be certainly have a heightened sense of awareness.
In his first 2 years on the field, Maury Smith kind of went back and forth between nickel, or corner, or
Yep.
safety. Since the spring, what's changed about him? Obviously, he's gotten more comfortable with that position, but just his change in play from spring practice to now.
I think he's matured a lot. I think his understanding of the game has improved. He's a smart kid with a good football IQ, and I think under Coach Buckley's tutelage and within the structure of Coach Shoup's scheme, it gives you an opportunity to play a bunch of different techniques at that position. Cloud corner with the ability to run support. Some quarters, some man-to-man, and I think he possesses that skill set. And I think every practice, every day, you see him get a little bit better, and I think that's helped him gain confidence as well.
During your time in Pittsburgh and being at Penn State, how much did Alabama oral? How much did you come to know about it? Did you pay attention to it very much? Just talk about that a little bit. The history.
Yeah, I think it predates Penn State. It's certainly hard to ignore. Like I said, they're the gold standard of the league. They've done it the best for the longest time, and when I say what we aspire to be, when we talk about bringing our first SEC championship to Starkville since 1941, Coach has a process. He sticks to it, and we talk about with our guys a culture of accountability, a culture of productivity, a culture of persistence. Not only have they recruited at an extremely high level for a long period of time, but they do an unbelievable job with player development. They do an unbelievable job with coaching, and you can tell that the culture allows them to do the little things right when it gets to the big game setting. And I think that's something that as we grow to become that type of program and aspire to do those things, those are things we're going to need to do as well.
Offensive tackle play was pretty shaky early on in this season. How have you seen those guys kind of progress as the season goes on, and how is that rotation at left tackle working for you?
Yeah, listen, I think we got our confidence shook with that kid from Kentucky a little bit. He had a day against us, with the snap count, and plus and the polite kid from Florida. Those are two real good pass rushers. And since that point, I think we've settled in a little bit. We've gone against some similar type players and have been able to not necessarily eliminate them, but neutralize them a little bit. And just working on our drop back pass pro technique, and then really providing those guys a little bit of help with changing the launch point, getting the ball out, using some chips with the tight ends and the backs. And I think the rotation at left tackle between Greg and Tyree has allowed them both to stay fresh. I think Coach Johnson's done a good job the past few weeks, getting DP, Michael Story, some of those other guys in there as well to build some depth. Hopefully we can do that on the offensive line like we've been doing on the defensive line.
Joey Jones has a long history of playing at Alabama and things. I don't think he's ever had the opportunity to go back and coach against him. I might be wrong on that. I've kind of looked back. I don't think he has. Has he mentioned anything about going back to a place where he was beloved, and I think he was on their all-decade team or something in the 80s and things like that? Has he mentioned anything about it?
No, he has not. So I'm sure Coach has got a lot of great memories from Alabama as a player, and he's certainly beloved there, and deservedly so. But I think he's bleeding more maroon and white than crimson now. So I think it'll be probably great for him when he goes back in there. I'm sure it'll be emotional and very positive. But he's done a good job of managing that and making sure we need to get done what we need to on special teams. But I'm sure it'll be pretty cool for him.
Colin Hill's work is really back speaks for itself, but have you been impressed with what he's done as a wide receiver, and particularly the downfield routes, and was he close to 100% the other night?
Yeah, I'd say close. I mean, I don't want to put a percentage, we'll be speculating, but I know 100. But he's a tough kid, gutted through it, wanted to play, and Thomas and his staff have done a great job getting him ready. But, I think that's something that we discussed probably a little earlier in the year relative to running back carries. I know, both he and Aries are over six yards a carry, and I think ranked 4 or 5 in the league in yards per carry. And it's a chicken or the egg thing. Are they averaging that many yards per carry because we're handing the ball off to them in advantageous looks? And I think it's about dispersal of the ball to playmakers. So whether we're handing it off to Kyle or we're finding a way to get him the ball on quick screens, swing screens, or down the field matched up on the linebacker, it's about getting the ball into his hands, and whether it's handing it off or throwing to me as the material.
Alabama's only given up 113 rushing yards in the past 3 games combined. Knowing that, how much of an
Per game or combined?
combined
Whoa.
113 yards in 3 games? Knowing that, how much of an emphasis will be on continuing the success that you guys have had in the past 2 games?
Yeah, we're going to need to do both to be balanced, and I think that's probably the biggest change or sign of growth with the offense from LSU to now is one. A concerted effort on my part to get back to what I believe, which is dictating the tempo of the game and not reacting to it, finding a way to be balanced. The teams are taking away the run by numbers or support, our willingness and ability to throw the ball out of the quick game or down the field. And you're not going to, you watch all these games, you're not going to make a living handing the ball off up the middle against this front. It's just not realistic. So we got to be creative in the ways that we run the ball. Creative on the ways we get it on the perimeter, and quite frankly, being able to protect and get guys open. So, it's going to be a huge challenge. This is an excellent defense.
Coach, you mentioned that Tua's having a Heisman caliber type season. Is the approach going to the week to make things, more difficult for a talent like him rather than just outright stop him?
Yeah, I hope so. I hope we're able to make it difficult on him. But I said, Coach Loxley's done an unbelievable job. In his first year as a coordinator, I think they're up over 550 yards a game in total offense and over 50 points. So once again, with great players like him, I call them game wreckers, that they're able to take the game over by themselves. I don't know that it's ever necessarily a matter of stopping them as it is neutralizing them or containing them. And, that's our hope with him. And that's why I'm a proponent of the dual threat quarterback, because he's a guy that could drop back, stay in the pocket, make his progression in his reads, and push the ball down the field. And at the same time, beat you with his feet on design runs. Or some of the big things you watch is when the play breaks down, he scrambles out of the pocket, and you see Ruggs or Jerry Jeudy kind of flush out of there and make a play. So he's a guy that certainly merits a ton of attention, and I know Coach Shoup and his staff are going to do a great job of putting a plan together.
You mentioned the swing screen concept for Colin. He's gotten a lot of that. It's common for running backs to get a lot of targets in your system. Is that exact swing screen concept common, or is that something that Kylan's been getting more of?
Nothing very common. Yeah, it's been kind of stable.
All right. Thank you.
Awesome, guys. Appreciate it. Have a great day.